Cool. Okay. Good evening, everybody. As I mentioned, my name is Devon with Palmer Scholars, and today we'll kind of be going through our general walkthrough of what Palmer Scholars is, who we are, the services that we provide, and how our scholarship works. And so we also have a few members from our legacy team as well. So I'm the Scholar Engagement Coordinator. We have Anicia Kamala here, who's one of our outreach team members, and then Reese Martin as well, and then Miss Farrington, who we address as our Director of Scholar Engagement. So I'm really glad to have my team here supporting me. If you guys have any questions at any time, I can't stress it enough. Like, what I'm saying is important, but it's not as important as the information that you need. So feel free to interrupt me and utilize the chat to make your voices heard. So if we don't have any questions or anything before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. Cool. So Palmer Scholars. So first things first, we are a scholarship foundation based here in Pierce County that covers Tacoma, Lakewood, Parkland, Fife, and all the areas in between. And we serve low-income students of color. Those are big eligibility points, and just want to get that off our chest at the beginning to be clear. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But in terms of the foundation of Palmer Scholars, the organization formally founded in 1983. It started as a partnership between Mr. Merle Palmer and Reverend Alfred Davis of the Eastside Community Church, right after Mr. Palmer returned back from serving in the military. They were engaged with two young Black men in the community who were members of the church, students at Lincoln High School who were getting ready to graduate from high school and just didn't really have a solid plan for transitioning out and going into the world as young adults. And these two men here that you see in the photo believed that college should be something that they take advantage of and didn't want money to be the reason that they didn't go on to pursue higher education. So between these two, and also thinking about the difference in price in college and tuition and everything, these two were able to pull the resources together to support these young men financially, and alongside the mentorship and just advocating for them as well. So that is the foundation of Palmer Scholars. And over the years, of course, we added additional support services like trainings and campus visits and social events, and just check-ins to make sure that our students are good to go along their whole journey. So right now we have served over 600 young men and women and young people of color across Pierce County. And that number just continues to grow as we are recruiting for our class of 2022. So a little bit about my story. I won't dive too much into this, but I am also a Palmer Scholar. I recently just graduated from the University of Washington, Seattle campus in 2018. Also a Lincoln High School graduate, and going through the Palmer Scholars program really just supported me, again, financially, but having my cohort was really the most critical part to my success in terms of Palmer Scholars, just knowing that there were people from Tacoma who looked like me, who understood the culture, the melting pot that they call it, and just folks that I could be comfortable with outside of my peers at UW Seattle. So just having now those people who come from your same hometown, your same community, that are there to support you when things get rough, is really the one thing I credit to Palmer Scholars, to providing me when I needed it the most. So a little bit about myself. So just a quick overlook of what we'll be covering today. Palmer Scholars receive the following once they are accepted into our program. So they each get 18 months of college readiness training, a support from a trained adult mentor, freshman year send-off packages and regular college visits, renewable scholarships of up to $5,000 per year for 5 years, and then connection with job shadow, internship, and employment opportunities, especially right here in Tacoma, right? We want to send you off to college, and then if you want to come back home and be a part of the community that's growing here, we want to be able to connect you with jobs. So we're really big on that. So in terms of preparing for college, so students will be accepted during their junior year. In between the March of junior year and the August after senior year, students will meet with us and our team and their cohort twice a month, and that totals up to about 55 hours of training to prepare them for that big transition into college, right? And so things that we cover are just like how to choose the right school for you, whether that's financially or culturally, figuring out if the school has your major or not, career exploration, understanding the college application process, knowing how to submit the FAFSA and WASFA and other financial aid applications, scholarships, et cetera, et cetera. So we cover a lot. And just the biggest thing here too is identifying resources while on campus and navigating higher education as a student of color, considering that a lot of our colleges here in Washington are predominantly white institutions. We really want to make sure our students that we work with during those 18 months really understand who they are and have a strong sense of self when they get to those different spaces and places, right? So that's a little bit of what our preparation process looks like. Here are just some quick photos of what our scholars look like and their element, right? So top right is just a quick example of our community service. So during the month of July, we normally have a community service week where students just spend all week giving back to Tacoma and the community that made them who they are. The bottom left is a prime example of our students in action in one of our workshops where they're doing a budgeting exercise, trying to figure out where they should prioritize their money. And our bottom right picture, we have a student meeting with their mentor for the first time. So, and then the top left, of course, is students preparing their send-off packages for their dorm rooms and making sure that they have all the supplies that they need. So in addition to the scholarship money, we also send them off with some supplies, and we'll break that down a little bit as we get through the presentation. So in terms of guidance, during the senior year for these students, scholars are matched with a mentor that we spend time, as we're getting to know them between junior year and senior year, we're taking notes, right? We know every student has different needs, have different personalities, whether you're more quiet or more loud or outgoing, I should say. We want to match you with a mentor who will meet you in the middle in terms of all the best pieces of who you are and being able to pull those pieces that might be kind of on the back burner to help you grow. Somebody that will speak to those pieces of who you are. So we're very intentional about the mentors that we select. We just had our mentor matched a couple of days ago and it was very successful, even though we're doing everything virtually during these times. So that's not something you guys have to worry about. Our team is really on it. Outside of your mentor, you'll also have support from our team. So whether you're meeting with me or Ms. Farrington, you'll most definitely have the opportunity to get one-on-one support from our team during the school year, over the summer, over the weekends. We're always there to answer questions and just be a resource for all of the students and even parents and community members if anything ever comes up. So, and then normally pre-COVID, what we would do during this time of the year and then also in the spring is visit students on each of their campus and bring all of the students there, all of the Palmer Scholars that are there together for a meal, to just fellowship, to catch up and just really check in and talk about their experiences. So I really enjoy doing that, but as COVID is in full effect, we're doing everything virtually. So want to emphasize that. And then also we normally have like social events every year. Our mid-year kickback is in the winter and we have a barbecue in the summer where again, we bring our students, our staff, our board members, mentors, and just other people in the community who constantly pour into this organization, bring everybody together because we're very much so like a family. And it's just always good to touch base with family whenever you can. So here is a quick look at one of our mentor match events. Again, we spend some time getting to know your students or you all. And by the time senior year comes around, we have a good feel for what it is that you need and what kind of person we feel like would be a good match for you. And so when this day comes around, mentor match, it's a lot of energy. It's a very charged event. It's very exciting um, to be matched with that person for the first time. And yeah, it's a remarkable feeling to know that this is someone that's going to be with you for all 4 years or 5 years of college, and hopefully after that. And it's someone that's, again, outside of our team, outside of your parents, outside of your teachers, outside of your community. It's just one more person there to be in your corner, right? They're not there to really replace anybody or anything along those lines. And they really just teach you how to network and build relationships as well. So in terms of support, our financial support, which might have caught most of your attention in terms of our opportunity, we offer up to $5,000 in scholarship support, and it's renewable for up to 5 years. So you're looking at a grand total of $25,000 per year. And then on top of that, students are also going to receive stipends for their books and personal expenses. And so this is a scholarship that whether you stay in Washington or you go out of state or go out of the country, this scholarship will follow you. We're not whether you go to a 2-year or 4-year, none of that really matters as long as you have a plan and you stay in touch with us and stay engaged with, just everything that we have in order for you. So at the bare minimum, scholars receive up to $1,000 in scholarship at the base, and then $500 to go towards books every year, $500 to go towards personal expenses every year. And then you grand total that out to $2,000 in financial support. And if you need any more money beyond that $2,000, we have a process in which you would request additional funding. So we're very big on advertising that up to $5,000 per year, because some students, we focus on being as equitable as possible and making sure we're putting all of our money in the right places and maximizing our funding. So if you have a higher need, make sure you're advocating and speaking up for yourself if you get accepted into this program. And on top of all the money, all the stipends, all the scholarship money, freshmen will also receive a new backpack with school supplies, folders, notebooks, and a brand new laptop unopened, right? And then on top of that, you'll also get a gift card to go shopping with your parents, guardians, or your mentor, or you can take the whole group and you guys can all shop together and buy additional dorm room necessities or other supplies that you might need to be successful in your major or in your studies when school starts in the fall. So here's a quick look at what we call the Palmer difference. And so, as I mentioned earlier, our target demographic group for our organization are low-income students of color. And normally in our community, a lot of those students who identify as such it's very common for them to identify as the first people in their family to go off to college. And we call those students first generation. And so just showing some comparisons, right? Without any of the Palmer Scholar support, nationally, low-income first-generation students are graduating from college at 11% graduation rate within 5 years. And if you compare that number to white students who are graduating at 64%, and then just normal or average students who are not low-income, not first-generation, that 55%, you see some really big achievement gaps and some disparities. So this really explains why we focus our services, our efforts in targeting the people who we target in our community who could really benefit from our resources the most. And that's always been the foundation of what Palmer Scholars is from the beginning, as you remember from our history. So this is just a quick look at the Palmer difference. And this 83% is constantly growing as our students are pushing through. Even now with COVID, our students are still in school and doing well and thriving. Well, they're doing well. I think we're all kind of feeling the effects of COVID. So in terms of keeping debt under control, so when we send a student off to college, we really aim to make sure that every student selects a school where they're taking out less than $5,000 in loans every year. Some students don't need to take out any. As you'll see last year, only 76% of our students didn't take out any loans, but a total of 90% didn't take out or took out less than that $5,000 amount that we set for them and that they set for themselves, right? Because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you graduate from college and you're just drowning in debt. So for our class of 2015, again, we understand that students don't normally graduate within 4 years, especially during these times. And so for the class of 2015, who just recently finished that 5-year cycle, their average loan amount was about $5,000, and that's after all 4 or 5 years. In comparison to the national average of $38,500, there's a big, big gap. And a lot of that comes with our trainings, our financial support, our mentorship, and just the guidance that students get to make those right decisions when money comes into the picture. So, and for our students, like when you get to college, it'll be the first time that a lot of you see big numbers like this where thousands of dollars are coming at you. And so we're really big on financial literacy and making sure you understand what to do with that money and how to make mature decisions when it comes down to it. So to be eligible to receive our scholarship, a young person must identify as a person of color. They must be a junior in high school by credits within Pierce County. So any school within the county, be actively involved in your school and your community. And we know that your community can also include your family if you play like a big role in your family. So you don't have to be involved in clubs and whatnot. We understand that there's a lot more to our students than what they do within the walls of their building or the frame of their screen, right? And then also have a minimum 2.0 GPA. I will say for our juniors, those first 2 years of high school are a little rough. It's a weird transition, especially during these times. And so if you're seeing an upward trajectory in your grades, but you're still like on a little bit lower than that 2.0 mark that we set, I would encourage you all to still apply just because we look at the whole student and we look at the story that you have to tell behind your GPA as well. So don't be discouraged by that. And then also you must identify as low income and coming from a low income family. So a general way to know is if you're eligible for free or reduced lunch, but we have other ways in our application that we decide that or determine that as well. So you can get a look at that on the application once you start that process, if you haven't already. In terms of expectations, so we're really big on this because as we go into this program, there's a lot of love and a lot of effort that makes it all possible from our staff, from our community members, from just donors and everybody who really makes this a reality. And so in return, we expect that our students show up and they give their best selves whenever they can. So that looks like attending all of the trainings and the events, maintaining contact with Palmer Scholar staff and mentors throughout college, maintain a 2.0 GPA throughout college. And I want to highlight that one because if you're receiving federal funding, it's required that you maintain a 2.0 GPA in order to receive federal funding as well. And so you never really want to slip below that 2.0 GPA. If you do, it's not the end of the world for us. You know, we have a process where we try to get you back on track, and the same with the federal level and the state level. But ultimately, just keep that in mind as you start preparing for understanding what college demands of you, especially if you're receiving that funding. We also expect that our students complete semi-annual check-ins, and we don't, in terms of staying in communication with our team, we don't need to follow up with you every day, every week, every month. We know things get busy when you're in college, so just twice a year, we have set times where we have surveys that we use to check in with you, in addition to having follow-up conversations and all of that good stuff. So we're not gonna pester you too much, but we do wanna stay in touch. And it's very, very, very important that you stay in touch with us in order to maintain your scholarship. So can't stress that enough. And then applying to additional outside scholarships during high school. So for our juniors who are here, you have plenty of time to receive and look for scholarships, whether or not you get this one or if you decide that this is for you. you should be aiming to apply, especially when you get into this program. We tell all of our students to apply to at least 6 different scholarships, but any student here should be doing that regardless, and even more if you can. So just want to say that as well. So in terms of our application process, our application is currently open. It opened on the 1st of this month, so we're not too far in yet. The deadline is December 8th, 11:59 p.m. So that still gives you about a month and a half to get the ball rolling, address all the pieces of our application because it is a little lengthy. And so you want to make sure you go in to our website, get access to that portal and create an application and start chipping away at it now. So in terms of the components that are within our application, of course, there's a personal information section where we're just getting to know you and your family situation. Financial information, there will be like a eligibility form that you have to like complete. Academic information, we want to know about your academic journey and your grades thus far. Extracurricular, so what else are you involved with outside of school? Again, including family and community involvement. Essay questions, we have 5 short essay questions, no more than 350 words. And that students, I want to make sure that you don't hear that this is a short and easy essay, right? We still want you to be very intentional about your word choice and what you decide to bring to the table with this application. So really take your time with those essays, even though they might be shorter than what you are used to. A recommendation request, this is probably one of the things you should do first, considering that this requires you to be on someone else's time, and adults are very, very busy right now. Everyone's very busy, and we're all just trying to make a way. So I would say get your recommendation request completed as soon as possible. Give your recommender plenty of time to get it done, and you won't be stressing about it when December 7th comes around. We also want an unofficial transcript, and you can get a copy of this from your counselor, and there's other ways to do this as well. Your counselor might be the most streamlined way to do it, and then you can just upload a file of it. And then, of course, we want to know what you look like when it comes time for us to move to the next phase of interviews. So we ask for students to upload a professional style headshot photo. And this can be just like a normal portrait photo. No filters, please, right? We just want to know what you look like, nothing too fancy. Don't need to go above and beyond. Cool, cool. So in terms of next steps for you all, what it looks like is that I have a survey that I put into the chat, and I'll go ahead and put that in really quick. So we have a quick contact survey that we're asking all of the students that we come across, or even folks that we don't come across but who are interested in this opportunity, in this program, to complete this survey. So somebody from our outreach team can follow up with them and make sure that they get updates on their application status, upcoming workshops and discussions like this related to, just getting tips on how to improve your application and strengthen it. And a lot more comes with being in direct access and direct contact with our outreach team. So each of you, whether you're a parent here and you're looking to just get it done for your student, or vice versa, if you're a student and you're hungry for more information, we really, really ask you to complete this survey, get it done, get it out the way, and it'll give you an advantage for folks who might not be getting this information. So yeah, and then also it gives you an opportunity to give feedback on today's presentation. If there's anything that you felt like could have gone better, or if you want to just leave a quick note about how good I did, hopefully I did an awesome job. That's always good as well. So you can either scan it, our QR code here, or I put the link in the chat for you all. So I think that concludes our presentation. I try to keep it sweet and simple. I know most of our presentations are a little bit quicker, but there are some things I really just wanted to emphasize, but really wanted to open up the chat for you all who are here. If you have any questions, all of our outreach team is here right now. So there's not anything that we can't answer for you. And then also you want to stay connected with us. So follow Palmer Scholars on Instagram and Facebook. You want to follow Mr.White253 on Instagram. That's my personal professional page where I'll be posting scholarship opportunities and news related to Palmer Scholars. Nothing more than that. I want to correct myself. It's a professional page for college prep. Yeah, it's a great hub for information. And then to get access to our application and just more information about who we are and what we do, you are going to want to visit palmerscholars.org. So do we have any questions? And then of course our contact information is all here. Thank you again for your time, for being here. I really appreciate you guys for taking the time to listen to us on this Tuesday evening. Yeah, someone said thank you for the information. You're very much welcome. Really hoping you all stay in touch. Again, fill out the survey. If you don't have any questions or comments or concerns, you're more than welcome to head out whenever you're ready. Otherwise, we will hang out for a moment and just kind of give you guys a moment to ask questions. You guys are all very much welcome. And we will have other presentations like this as well. Another one in 2 days and then 2 more next week. So if you have any peers who need to get this information, who would really benefit from it, please tell them to register. It's about 30 minutes of their time and a lot of good information and an opportunity that does not come around senior year. This is your time to take advantage now. So make sure you're telling your peers. And yeah. Okay, we still have Miss Angela with us. If you had a question, this is your time. How was my experience at UW? My experience at UW Seattle, and this is not me advocating for anybody to go there, but just personally, it was a good chance for me to grow. Being someone who grew up in Tacoma, I had never spent too much time outside of Tacoma before going to college. And so being in that big Seattle and just U district environment really opened my mind up and allowed me to grow up, I'll say, to really just grow into the person that I wanted to be. I never got to study abroad, but I did get to study across the country and go on a couple of trips that really I probably wouldn't have gone on unless if I went to UW. So it opened my mind to opportunities. It taught me how to say yes to opportunity. It's a really big school, so you kind of have to get out of your shell. I was kind of to myself in high school and just kind of had a lot going on. So UW most definitely is a school that can make or break a student, but you just have to have a strong heart for it. So, and then our outreach team, Miss Anicia goes to Gonzaga University and Reese goes to University of Washington, Tacoma. So if you ever have questions about any of those campuses or those colleges, I'm sure they can speak to their experience as well. Good question. Okay, well, unless if you had more questions, you're more than welcome to keep asking questions. I'm just gonna go ahead and formally stop our recording. So thank you all to our community members who are watching at a later date. Make sure you apply by December 8th and we'll see you all soon.